Hey everybody, this is A7X Fan Ben, and this is Pirates with Ben, blog number 35. So I'm at 35 episodes. A couple little things. First, I've been working on my Epic Seas set. I've had little opportunities to work on it on and off, and it's growing even more. I'm pretty excited about it. I introduced some kind of crazy pieces to it today, but I'm going to share them gradually over the next few weeks, as I talked about a tiny bit on the podcast. And I had a little rules question yesterday, and it's about maxing out cannon ranges. So this is kind of a gimmick that some people like to think about. I haven't really tried more than LL range. So for example, USS Atlanta has the sniping ability, so you can hit at doubled range on a 6. But then there's other things you can do to make the range even longer. So power cannons increases the range of each ship's cannons to 2L. So then if you double that with the sniping ability, you can hit at 4L range. And then there's a unique treasure from Return to Savage Shores called Eye of Maru, and it allows you to double the range of one of the ship's cannons. So you could have, on the Atlanta, for example, or El Neptuno, you could have 4 cannons shooting at 4L range and then 1 cannon shooting at 8L. Because I checked with Wolf and he said it doubles it twice, so you can have up to 8L range. And I think that's the highest, but I'm not 100% sure. And yeah, the extended range, copying that to a 10 master, for example, is another way to to max out ranges. So pretty interesting little gimmick. It's not very practical, and it would become really expensive really quickly, but just a fun thing to think about. And the deal of the day is on eBay, and I just randomly found this. I thought it looked pretty cool. So you get 7 pirate ships and 1 crew, or a crew for 2 first, so essentially 2 crew from South China Seas, the pirates, and they got some good ships in that set. It's a good set overall. Right now it's at $10, and you can make an offer, and the shipping is low. So I think this is actually a solid opportunity. It's good for collectors because South China Seas is a rare set, and it's good for players because the Feathered Hat is a good ship, good gunship, SL speed, solid firepower, solid ability, 12 points. Black Heart, not the crew, 2 different words, is actually a decent ship. You've got pretty much good or great stats across the board, solid ship. Not a great gunship, but a solid multi-purpose ship in my opinion. Madagascar is a fast ship. Greed's Hammer, though, is the best ship in the slot, in my opinion. I always rave about this ship. 11 points, plus 2 gold ability is a game-winning ability. All rank 2 cannons, and enough cargo to be a hybrid. So, Captain and Helmsman on that. Good ship. The Bandito is a little bit underrated, not great, but a solid ship. And she's part of my American Pirates fleet, which has done really well, even in extremely competitive play. And the crew aren't great, or one of them isn't, Ken Hoey, but Bruce Gray is a world hater, which is a great offensive ability. So this is a nice little lot. I think the price is solid, and you can make an offer, so maybe we can even get it for less than that, possibly. And then, this isn't, the official deal of the day on the blog, but I see 2 Pirates tins for about $20. That's what it's showing for shipping for me in New York. So these retailed for about 10, so it's like retail price. So, not a huge discount, but still, so that'd be 8 packs total. 6 Revolution, 2 Barbary Coast for about 20, depending on the shipping. So not a bad deal either. So you can find links to both of those in the description below. Now I'm going to go into the card of the day. Sets 1 through 14 and 14. So Return to Savage Shores is the only unreleased set, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up a window here. Let me try it just to see what happens. Hopefully I won't have to edit this video afterwards. And it looks like it's up. I just got to change this. I should probably get this. Should probably figure this out beforehand, but I didn't expect it to be Return to Savage Shores. So looks like the spreadsheet's up at least. Alright, so anyway, sorry for the delay, and RTSS 1 through 52 for the game piece number. So number 40, which is going to be weird, because it's a cargo master. So Spanish cargo master from Return to Savage Shores. So the cargo master ability, I'll have to get something else up just so anybody that hasn't seen it before is clear. Cargo master says all friendly ships of the same nationality as this crew get +1 cargo spaces. This crew takes up no cargo space. So this is a 5-point ability. Showed up in Savage Shores and Return to Savage Shores, obviously. The Americans got the generic cargo master in Savage Shores, and the Spanish already have a cargo master because Master Bianco, who's 7 points with cargo master in Secret Hold from Savage Shores, is a cargo master as well. So if RTSS came out, this wouldn't be super unique for the Spanish, but that being said, cargo masters are a very good crew. I've already ranted against them on the forum and on the podcast. The biggest problem is the 5-point ability doesn't scale in campaign games. So if you have, it's unrealistic, but if you have 70 or more, Spanish ships in a campaign game, they all get +1 to cargo spaces. What is that worth? I mean, that could be worth 70 points, So I don't agree with the ability. I think there should have been a cap on it. I understand with kids wasn't expecting, Xerix and I to play Vassal Campaign Game 1, for example, which reached over 3,500 total points. And I purposely I haven't used Cargo Masters in campaign games because it's silly and it's broken, essentially, especially as the game size increases more and more. And I think there should have been a cap on it. So maybe designate 3 or 5 ships when the crew is revealed, or place it face up during setup, whatever, and limit it to a certain number of ships, like 3 or 5 would be easy numbers to hit, or just some other, I don't know, any other alternatives. But that's not a house rule I've used with cargo masters. I basically just don't use them, and I don't like to see them used against me, although I haven't really seen them used against me, especially because they're rare. I mean, the American one is common, technically, but Savage Shores has become a bit more rare the past few years, I've noticed, and I don't know what the odds of actually pulling it are. One thing about the Cargo Master card, which is interesting, is the American one from Savage Shores has a 0 coin on it, which is a cool and cheaper opportunity to get 0 coins. So it's a fun strategy. Xerix and I did it on Vassal not too long ago. And 0 coins are a fun way to kind of mess with your opponent, especially if they don't know they exist. That's one thing I've done, because you never see them outside of the American Cargo Master, and then the limited edition treasure cards from Fire and Steel, which have 2 zeros per card. So if you use zeros in a game, it can kind of freak your opponent out, or it's lame to find them, and they often they're kind of annoying because you just leave them on islands, or you unload them for no benefit if you have the extra cargo available. But anyway, so cargo masters, though, back to those. The Spanish already have a lot of cargo. They don't need a lot of help in the treasure hunting department, so I wouldn't say this is an essential crew for them. And they did get a real an existing one with Master Bianco from Savage Shores. That being said, game piece rating out of 10, I would have to give a 9 probably, because it's just a really good crew. The cost is a little bit limiting in a 40-point game, but doesn't make it, unplayable at all. It's still really great even in small games. So, but yeah, as I already talked about, I don't really like them because they're broken as the game size gets bigger. So it's a pretty big flaw. And let's see if I can get other things up here. So yeah, so there's only 2 cargo masters, and can't get this window back. Let me see what I can do. There we go. All right, sorry about that. Try to have RTSS up next time for card of the day. So picture of the day is, well, there's at least one. So Vassal Tournament number 2, I looked at my pictures folder, and I saw that Xerix and I played a game of Vassal Tournament number 2 on this date in 2017, a year ago today. There was no Economy Edition action, actually, 3 years ago today. So that's why it's not from that game. And Vassal Tournament number 2 was a very competitive tournament where Xerix and I controlled 8 fleets each in a 16 fleet tournament bracket, and the winner would be deemed the best fleet of all time because we used pretty much extremely competitive fleets only. So in this game, it looks like there's 2 of the high peng, I believe, and that just gives you an idea of how extreme it was. So every fleet was just really well equipped to win. And there were a lot of forts built. There were a lot of fort shenanigans and a lot of gold bonuses. You can see gold bonuses on both home islands, the 2s, and then I suppose the 3, I think, as well in the southeast. And then crew left on islands because you needed more cargo space. So there's a lot to it, and it's, in terms of complications, I would say extremely competitive play with fleets using gold bonuses, the high peng, universal pirate shipping, which is a fleet that Darren, like a strategy that Darren pioneered, and you can see the links in the post. So I'm going to put a link to Vassal Tournament number 2. I fixed the battle reports recently, so you can see the pictures again. So I'm going to put a link in the description, and you can check out all the fleets from there. There's so much more to say, and I might do a video on it sometime. But it's pretty complicated, like I said. So along with campaign games, I would say complicated fleets and competitive play is actually one of the more complex things about Pirates. Usually the game isn't really all that complex or hard to understand, but when you get into some of these competitive fleets and how they work and unique treasure interactions and rules hangups, rules interactions, it becomes pretty complicated in a hurry. Not as complicated as some of the like large scale situations in campaign games, but it can still be surprisingly complicated to the point where you almost have to like stop the game to like figure things out, or consult the pirate code multiple times per game on average, just to understand it all and try to like make sure that you're doing it right and to make sure the better fleet wins. So good experience overall, but we got a little bit burnt out on the 40-point format, so it's good to be doing campaign games again. And an extra picture of the day, not mine, but God Mason wants people to post in his worst ships thread on miniature trading. I'll put a link in the description to that as well. So he's basically got all these like amalgamation, abomination type ships with all sorts of wacky sail and hull designs. So that's something I'm super into. I'd rather have more practical stuff, but if you do have like conglomerate game pieces, if you call it that, and like wacky ship designs with mismatched parts, you could take a picture and contribute to that thread if you want. So like I said, there's going to be a ton of links to everything I talk about in the description. And beyond that though, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more Pirates content, and I'll see you again tomorrow.